Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, February 14th. The next snow threat for the Mid-Atlantic region looks like it comes Friday night into Saturday morning. There'll be a frontal system that will slide across the region late Thursday night into Friday morning, and that frontal boundary zone will be kind of a conduit for a low pressure area to move along from northwest to southeast late Friday night into Saturday time frame. And I think some accumulating snow is quite likely, again, in that time period of Friday night into Saturday morning, all the way down to D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. I think one difference with this next snow threat in the Mid-Atlantic region be quite a bit colder air at the onset, and those snow ratios will be considerably higher from snow to rain instead of maybe 6, 7, 8 to 1 as it was for the last storm. This may be more like 12, 13, 15 to 1. In other words, a drier, a fluffier type of snow. Don't need quite as much total precipitation amount to squeeze out a few inches of snow. Again, we're talking about the Friday night, Saturday time frame, and we'll focus in on that over the next few minutes. Let's look back first at yesterday's snowfall. First of all, the timing of the changeover worked out pretty well in the I-95 corridor region of the Mid-Atlantic region. I focus in on D.C., Philadelphia, New York City at arcfieldweather.com. It was generally 6, 7, 8 a.m., unfortunately just in time for the morning commute in most areas. And in general, things worked out pretty much as I expected in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City metro regions. Down in D.C., about a half an inch at Dulles Airport, just a coating or so in the metro region itself. You went out to the far northern or western suburbs, maybe a couple of inches or so. Probably on average in the Philadelphia metro region, maybe 4 to 8 inches. Some areas had more than that. Some areas had less than that. King of Prussia, for example, 4.3 inches. Westchester, about 5 inches. Now, what's going on at the Philly International Airport, I have no idea. They came in with 0.6 inches. It's certainly suspicious because early yesterday morning I saw a report of 4.5 inches already at Chester, the city of Chester, which actually is in Delaware County in southeastern PA, only a few miles away from the airport. Yesterday morning, about 8 o'clock, they had 4.5 inches already, just a few miles away from the international airport. I don't know if there's a human observer giving these reports at the airport or if it's an automated system. I don't know, but in general, it's a 4 to 8 inch snowfall across southeastern Pennsylvania. New York City, about 3 or 4 inches in the metro area. I think 3 or 4 inches, places like Central Park, Kennedy Airport. You don't have to go too far to the north and west to pick up several inches of snow in those interior New Jersey suburbs to the north and west of New York City. Where the storm certainly underperformed, far to the north and west here, it's a place like State College a few days ago expected a foot or more, all the way to the eastern end of the snow band. A place like Boston ended up receiving quite a bit less than anticipated a couple of days ago. The bullseye, east central Pennsylvania, northeastern Pennsylvania, this area right here. Certainly some of these areas of Poconos had up to a foot of snow. I saw a report of 13 inches. Jim Thorpe, PA, that was the bullseye for this particular storm system. Well, let's now focus in on the upcoming event. Again, I think some accumulating snow is likely Friday night into Saturday morning, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. And we'll go through the details right now. Of course, a few days away here. In the wake of yesterday's storm, cold air mass, definitely a breezy and colder than normal day today in the Mid-Atlantic region in the northeastern U.S. And we'll go through the next few days here. This is using the conventional run of the GFS from last night at 0Z. We're looking at 850 millibar temperature anomalies. It gets a little bit warmer than normal on Thursday, but then a clipper system can produce some snow, by the way, tomorrow up across the northeastern part of the nation, New York, New England, and again, a little bit warmer than normal, at least in the lower levels of the atmosphere on Thursday afternoon. But a frontal system pushes on through and colder than normal air returns later tomorrow night into the day on Friday. That's kind of a key difference with this last storm system on Tuesday. I emphasize the fact that yesterday's storm system, there was no cold air established on the front end. That's why many hours was wasted, if you like snow, with rain falling before that changeover. In this next storm system, we will have cold air established ahead of the arrival of the low pressure area, again, Friday night into Saturday. Here we are, late tomorrow night and then Friday morning. Colder air moves in behind that front, and that front sets up right in this region right here on Friday, and that's going to act, that frontal boundary zone will act as a conduit for that low pressure to move right along that frontal boundary zone. Again, cold enough down in D.C., I think, for snow Friday night into Saturday. This is now Friday night into Saturday morning, and quite a widespread colder than normal air mass will flood in behind that storm system for the remainder of the weekend. Here we are on Sunday afternoon, and then finally going into Monday morning. Still colder than normal conditions hanging on across certainly eastern part of Canada, down across the eastern third of the nation, turning warmer than normal out across the northern plains. Now let's take a look at the vorticity field. This is the mid-levels of the atmosphere where there's some spin associated with what we call vorticity maxima, and that spin or rotation in the upper part of the atmosphere tends to lead to upward motion down at the lower levels, down at the ground level, and that's where your clouds and precipitation will form. We'll see really two systems over the next 72 hours or so. Here comes the first system diving to the south, and he's into the day right here, into the day on Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and again, it can create some snow shower activity down into the mid-Atlantic region, but more likely across New York and New England. That system also pushes in that colder air from the north and west. A frontal passage comes through the mid-Atlantic region late tomorrow night into the early part of Friday, setting the stage for cold air to be established ahead of this late week, early weekend low pressure area. That's the first wave, and then here comes the second wave. This is the Friday night forecast map. It drops to the south and east. Not a major system here, and it's a fast-moving system that will tend to limit the potential for this storm. But I think a few inches of snow is possible Friday night, Saturday morning, and certainly we have a couple days to fine-tune that. This is now going into the latter part of the weekend here, and it settles down some on Sunday on the backside of that Friday night, Saturday system. Now let's walk through the surface forecast maps from last night's 0Z run of the GFS. Basically a cold, breezy day in the mid-Atlantic region in the northeast U.S., controlled by high pressure over the southeastern part of Canada, just south of Hudson Bay, below normal temperatures. And then we'll move forward here into the day on Thursday, and we have this first system here that is a clipper-like system, and it has a frontal system trailing this low pressure area right in this region right here, and basically kind of a warm front off to its east. So it turns a little bit warmer on Thursday in much of the Mid-Atlantic region. Now let's go forward here and show the impact of this system. Here we are now Thursday evening. Notice the 534 thickness line right here cutting across central Pennsylvania. Again, excuse me, we've talked about these blue dashed lines representing the thickness of that layer from the ground level or 1,000 millibar level to 500 millibars. That's the middle part of the atmosphere. The lower the thickness, the lower the temperature. So this is kind of a reflection of the temperature here. Notice what I want to point out is the trend here, 534 thickness cutting across central Pennsylvania Thursday evening, and here's that system that again could produce some maybe some snow, accumulating snow across New York State and New England tomorrow night. It pushes to the east and drives in somewhat colder air into the mid-Atlantic region. That 534 thickness now drops all the way down to, let's say, just north of D.C., cutting across the Delmarva Peninsula. So not a significant change, but a definite change to colder conditions on the front end of this next storm system. So again, there'll be a frontal system lying right in this region right here by the time we get to Friday midday. This is the Friday midday forecast map. And this low pressure area will ride right along that frontal boundary zone again with kind of fresh, colder air moving into the mid-Atlantic region. That's why I think this is a good setup for snow all the way down to the D.C. metro region late Friday night into the day on Saturday. Let's move forward here. And here we go by Friday evening. Again, a relatively fast-moving system, 534 thickness down right across the D.C. metro region. Now, I think with the cold air established, those snow-to-rain ratios will be much higher with this system. In other words, it doesn't take as much total liquid equivalent precipitation to get a few inches of snow as it did with yesterday's storm. We're talking about maybe 12, 13, maybe 15 to 1 snow to rain ratios. So again, a quarter of an inch could absolutely produce 3-4 inches of snow in this area. And here we are. This is the late Friday evening forecast map. And again, not a killer storm system, but enough to cause some accumulating snow. Here we go by Saturday morning. That low pressure is right here. And again, it moved right across that frontal boundary zone. Stationed right here. Again, this frontal boundary zone right in this region right here by the time we get to Saturday morning. Quickly moves out. And cold air we saw on that 850 millibar temperature anomaly map. Quite cold air follows for the rest of the weekend. Here we are Saturday night into Sunday morning, and this will be a cold air mass. That 534 line drops all the way down into the southern part of Virginia. So yesterday's storm is gone. On its heels, we have a breezy, cold day today. Northwest winds, definitely noticeable northwest winds, lowering the feel of the cold out there from the actual air temperature to those wind chill values. Next threat of accumulating snow, Friday night, Saturday morning time frame, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.